Hello, everybody. It's Scott Bunce again. And today I'm really excited to be with David Chavez. David owns Assured Strategy, and we've run into each other through Vistage and speaking. But David, welcome. And if you would, please introduce yourself, what you do, and let's learn a little bit more about you today.
Okay, great, Scott. Just a little bit of history, just to give a little bit of background. Started with Arthur Andersen after I finished college, after going in the Army for 4 years. So I served over in Germany, and then came home, went to the college, and started working with Arthur Andersen. Worked there for about 5 years. And then went to work for a wealthy family, basically buying and selling companies and helping with special projects that the family office needed done. And it was a great experience. Then started a CPA firm, grew my firm, and had about 45 CPAs and about 1,600 clients, and sold it in 2007. And in probably 2003 or 4, I started using a system called scaling up inside of my company. At the time, it was called the Gazelle system, and used that, tripled my valuation in my firm, and then sold it. And from that experience, I looked into becoming a coach with them. And I became a scaling up coach about 13 years ago. I was probably coach, I think I'm coach number 35 out of probably over 1,000 that have went through now. So I think there's probably about 300 or 400 active, but just from training over those 13 years. And it helped. We at Assured Strategy, which is the current company I own, there's 12 of us, and we've helped over 250 companies implement scaling up and basically grow their company. So,
wow, that is very impressive. What prevents companies from scaling up in the first place?
Probably the primary reason is the one that we don't really want to look at. It's us. It was really surprising to me because my CPA firm was growing fairly rapidly, and then it just stopped. It literally went from, I think the last year before, it just stopped, and stopping to me was less than 5% growth. My growth was probably 70% the year before, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. I had reached a cap in my micromanagement abilities. And what scaling up really taught me is how to think about the business in a larger scale and not be so involved in every little thing that's going on, to create the vision and to pass that vision down to others so they truly knew what was going on. Before that, it was funny because I used to say that I knew everyone knew where I was trying to go in the company. And that was just so untrue. It was scary how untrue it was when I started to really wake up and see it.
And so when you say untrue, because I think all CEOs have a hard time letting go. And it feels like if you're really going to go fast, you got to let go. How do you sort through that? And what was preventing you? What was your eye-opening moment on your growth?
Yeah, I think that, how I usually describe it when I'm speaking to Vistage groups is I usually say that CEOs or entrepreneurs, let's put entrepreneur CEOs in that category. We are professional squirrel chasers. We do love chasing those squirrels. And, that's what makes an entrepreneurial company grow, is chasing the squirrels. But it also becomes your nemesis later on as your company starts to scale. Because if you introduce too many squirrels to a scaling company, you divert your attention away from the things that are really important, and you keep on inventing new things. Well, when your ship gets bigger, it's harder to turn quickly. And what ends up happening is you're changing things so often that no one really understands what the company is doing. And it starts to fail to deliver to its customer. And that's exactly what happened to me. So,
that resonates with me. The company I'm currently running, it seems to me we've had so many new marketing initiatives that I find myself in meetings with employees going, we don't know what's coming next. We barely implemented the last idea. And so that resonates with me. How do you get over that hump?
Well, I think you may know this. I don't even know if you know this right now, but I am actually a Vistage member too. So I was a Vistage chair, left chair because my business started getting too successful, and then after speaking for several years, I finally hit the revenue where I could join, and I think Vistage really helps me a lot. Have a great group of guys I meet with, and they really challenge me. And then just my clients challenging me to stay conscious. But how do people get consciousness of it? I don't know how everyone does it. I think you have to hit some kind of inflection point in your business. And what I mean by that is there's something that needs to happen to cause you to stop thinking everything is great. So you have to reach some kind of an inflection point. And you had a second part to the question if I answered the first already.
I would say, what was that inflection point for you?
The inflection point for me was not growing.
Yeah.
Hitting that stopping point and then reading Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, which was the first scaling Gazelle's book, and reading that and starting to realize that maybe I'm in the way. And then at the time I had a peer group that I was a part of also. And I think the people started letting me know what was going on that they could see. And when I started to realize that it was really bad, what I had been doing, then I started to change things from that point on. It didn't happen overnight because I had to go through some of my bad behavior and really get consciousness of it and really get to understand what was stopping me. And the funny part is that like I said, we've helped over 250 companies now. I've probably helped 200 or more of them, just myself. And I would tell you that the companies that I helped and the CEOs that I've helped have a very similar problem. And when they usually work with us, they have tried to do things over and over again. And you get into Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same things and expecting a different result. And they finally come to the realization that whatever they're trying isn't working and they just need some outside objective help. And, just as you as a Vistage chair, our job is really just to ask stupid questions. And I'll put stupid in quotations. So because we just ask a lot of questions and help people really think. And, a lot of my clients are Vistage members. So a lot of them, I work with the chairs actually to help that person, because when we can work together, it really builds a lot of power in really getting the people to see what they're missing. And then both of us can be in reinforcing some of the behavioral changes that need to make even with the CEO. And then how we work is we work with the whole leadership team. So that drives the whole leadership team's change behavior to change. Because I think one of the biggest hindrances to really growing is having the right team. You promote people as you're scaling your company based on how long they've been there. And a lot of entrepreneurs say that they don't do that, but they do. And they think that somebody's going to carry them to the next level where they just may not be qualified. And the sad part is they may not be qualified, and they may not do the work necessary to stay qualified
Yeah.
as the company scales.
Yeah. People that love to do continuous learning are always make a great team member without a doubt.
Yep.
So David, I know one of the things you've done in your career is you have taken 5 companies public. Tell me what was that like, and what were your learnings in doing that?
Well, that was when I was at Arthur Andersen, and that was the early '90s. Just dating myself a little bit, but in that time frame, I worked out of the Las Vegas office, and we were expanding gaming throughout the world at that time. Not gaming on the computer, gambling gaming,
Right.
and so those. I can tell you it was a nightmare to actually do it from my role, which is the accountant's role. I would tell you it was a nightmare. I remember I did Ameristar's IPO. We were Ameristar started out of a little town, little border town of Nevada and Idaho, and it started off with a casino called Cactus Pete's. And I remember working in their basement for 3 weeks straight. And I think those 3 weeks we worked 100 hours a week. Oh. It was just insane. And people go, there's no way you could work that much. Believe me, there is. And we worked 3 weeks straight. So it wasn't fun, but the amount of learning was just tremendous. You just learn a lot about companies and a lot about the internal operations. And, being an auditor for years, people often think that you're just auditing numbers. No, you're auditing process more than anything else. And really learning from auditing processes, how businesses work and how successful companies do things versus companies who struggle a bit. So,
yeah. I know your focus is like creating CEO strategy plans. Can you give me maybe 2 examples of the work that you've done and the success it's led other CEOs to?
Yeah. So we've worked with several companies. 2 of the larger ones that I like to talk about that's easy for me to really relate to and talk about is one is out of San Diego. It's a company called ProTech, and they go into homeowners associations and basically help fix things that are wrong inside of there. They have about 380 employees, and I worked with them for about 4 years. And during that time, they had retracted inside, went down a little bit, and then started growing again. And they were growing so in such an organized and consistent way that they kept raising their prices and their customers kept on coming back. Even though they may have left because they got a little upset with the price, they just kept on coming back in the end because their service just became so good and they became so focused on what the real thing that they were selling to their customer. And that was a really good experience. And one of the things that they came up with was their purpose was to improve the quality of life of the homeowners that live in the homeowners association every time they go and fix something. And so it was really easy for the owner to say to people when they came back, and if there was a problem with something they were working on, is he could just ask them, hey, did you improve those people's quality of life? And if the answer wasn't yes, then we need to get back out there and take care of whatever wasn't taken care of. And they had some really good core values too that went with that. But those 2 things really helped them shape the company in a different way. And what we really do is we go in and we help them develop their strategy. And oftentimes people get tactics and strategy mixed up. A lot of times when I talk to people about strategy, they'll hand me a set of financial projections for the next 2 years, and that's not strategy. And so when we really get them focused on their strategy and really helping their customer and really understanding what their customers' wants and needs are, and really designing their business model to satisfy the needs more than the wants, it really changes the business in a really positive way. And so ProTech was one example. And then another one is a winery that I worked with. I won't mention the name, but they did a really good job of the leadership team was stuck and they couldn't figure out how to really scale the winery. And they were a local winery, and they never thought that they would buy other wineries, which they have done now. And so it was taking them out of the place of comfort, which is in their own backyard, and expanding their horizons and starting to look at different places and look at different wineries and expand what their family really built in the winery. And I don't remember their purpose per se, but I do remember that everything was connected together. That CEO, once a month, he spends one day with all the new employees that have been hired. And they have about 300 employees also. And he basically spends the day with them talking about the core values and purpose and BHAG of where he's taking the company, how he's doing it, and what the behavioral expectations are inside of the company. And that's really changed the whole company. I just visited with him probably about 2 or 3 months ago. And he told me, he said, it's amazing when you do this stuff and you're consistent with it, how much the company just keeps on propelling forward. And you're not even involved in any of it anymore. He said, you know of what you're doing, but you have no idea of any of the details, but it's working.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that very easy to introduce that, but keeping it consistent is the tricky part, right? That's
correct.
But that makes all the difference. David, I think you've come up with a couple of great examples of what you and your team do. If somebody who's watching this wants to get a hold of you or learn more, how would they do that?
You can email me, dchavez@assuredstrategy.com, spelled out. And they could also get on our website and email us through there. Best thing to do is probably check out the website and look at it a little bit. And then we have the different programs that we offer inside of there, just a basic synopsis so you can sort of get an idea of what you're looking for. But we work with companies from about 5 million all the way to about 1 billion. So our largest client's been a little over 1 billion. And so we're really focused on helping companies who want to scale at a reasonable rate, not at 400%, at a 20 to 30% clip. I think business owners, a lot of them don't understand that more businesses go out of business from too much opportunity than not enough.
Yeah, that's a different mindset altogether, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely.
Well, David, thanks again for your time. Appreciate it, and wishing you all the best.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity and have a great day.
All righty.